The entire ICU went silent the moment Marcus ripped the badge off his wife's chest. "You're done. Elena, you don't belong in my hospital." His mother smiled. His mistress laughed out loud. 40 people watched. Nobody said a word. Elena did not cry. She picked up her coat. She walked past the nurses she had trained with her own hands. She walked past the patients who had held her fingers through the night. And Marcus, he just stood there, arms crossed, chin high, watching the woman he had just humiliated walk toward the door. He had no idea. No idea that the woman leaving his hospital in silence was the only person alive who could sign it out of existence. In her bag was an envelope, cream-colored, sealed, her father's handwriting across the front. She had carried it for 2 years. She had never opened it. Not once. Not until tonight. She stood in the parking lot, under a flickering light, and held it in both hands, like it might still change its mind about what it said inside. It didn't. Welcome back to Whispered Tales. If stories about betrayal, family secrets, and quiet women who turn out to hold all the power are your kind of story, you already know what to do. Hit subscribe and tell me in the comments where are you watching from tonight. Because Marcus was about to learn something. Something his mother never taught him. Something his mistress never warned him about. He had just fired the one person who could take everything he had. He just didn't know it yet. 10 years ago, Elena Okoye was supposed to become a doctor, not a nurse. A doctor. She graduated top of her class. Full scholarship. Professors used to say her name like it was already printed on a diploma. Chief of surgery. One day, they said, maybe head of a department. Maybe more. She believed them. And then her father got sick. It started small. A cough that wouldn't go away. Tired eyes. A little weight loss nobody worried about at first. By the time the doctors gave it a name, it was already stage 4. Pancreatic cancer. 6 months. Maybe less. They said. Elena had 1 semester left before her medical boards. She withdrew the same week. Nobody asked her to. Her aunts offered to help. Her cousins said they'd take turns. But Elena looked at her father lying in that hospital bed. The same kind of bed she was training to stand beside as a doctor. And she made a decision that would follow her for the rest of her life. She put the white coat down, and she picked up a spoon instead. She fed him when his hands shook too much to hold a fork. She bathed him when he was too weak to stand in the shower alone. She read to him at night. Old poetry books he loved. His eyes too dim by then to follow the words himself. She missed her own future, one quiet day at a time. And she never once said it out loud. Not even to herself. That was where she met Marcus. He wasn't a doctor. He wasn't even close. He was a hospital administrator, 26 years old. Sharp suits. Sharper ambition. The kind of young man who remembered everyone's name and made sure everyone remembered his. He noticed Elena in the hallways, day after day. Always at her father's side. Always exhausted. Always still smiling at the nurses like she hadn't slept in a week. One evening, he found her crying quietly in the stairwell. Not sobbing, just leaking. The kind of tears that come out when you've been strong for too long and your body simply runs out of room to hold them. He sat down next to her. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he said, "You're the strongest person I've ever met in this building. And I've met surgeons." She laughed. Even though she didn't want to, he kept coming back after that. Coffee in the cafeteria. Short walks when her father slept. And one night, standing outside her father's hospital room, Marcus took her hands and said the words she would remember for the rest of her life. "I don't care what you gave up. I will never let you bow your head to anyone. Not for money. Not for a title. Not for anything. I promise you that." She married him 5 months later. In a small dress. In a small church. With 12 guests and a borrowed veil. Her father gave her away from a wheelchair. He was thin by then, gray. His hands trembled as he placed her fingers into Marcus's, but his eyes, even sick, even fading, were sharp as ever. "Take care of my girl," he said. "With my life," Marcus answered, and he said it like he meant it. Her father looked at him for a long moment. A long, quiet, searching moment. He did not smile. Elena noticed it then, and she would think about it many times over the years that followed. That pause, that silence, that look on her father's face like he was reading something in Marcus that no one else could see yet. He passed away 8 months later. Before he did, on one of his last clear afternoons, he called Elena into his room alone. He reached under his pillow and pulled out an envelope, cream-colored, sealed, her name written on the front in his own shaking handwriting. "Not now," he whispered, pressing it into her hands. "Don't open this now." Then, when she asked, tears already falling, "You'll know the day," he said. "When they show you who they really are, that's the day you open it." She thought it was grief talking. She thought the medication was confusing him. She kissed his forehead and told him she loved him. And 3 days later, he was gone. She put the envelope in a drawer. She told herself she'd open it eventually. Out of curiosity, out of grief, out of missing him too much to leave it sealed forever. But life moved fast after that. Marcus climbed the ranks at the hospital. Elena stayed a nurse, because someone had to keep the lights on while his salary grew into the kind that made headlines. She worked night shifts nobody else wanted. She smiled through years nobody thanked her for, and in the back of a bedroom drawer, moved from apartment to apartment, from house to house. That cream-colored envelope waiting for the day her father promised would come. She had no idea it was already getting closer than she thought. Marriage, Elena learned quickly, was not the fairy tale Marcus had promised in that hospital hallway. It wasn't cruel. Not at first. It was quieter than that. It was slower. It crept in the way water finds its way into a crack in the wall invisible for years. Until one day the whole thing crumbles, and you wonder how you never noticed. Marcus rose fast at Ashford Memorial. Administrator. Then director of operations. Then something close to the top. Every promotion came with a new suit. A new watch. A new way of walking through the hospital, like he owned the hallways instead of just managing them. Elena stayed exactly where she started. A nurse. Night shifts. Mostly. Because someone had to take them. And somehow it was always her. She told herself it made sense. His salary was the one paying for their house, their car, the private school they were saving for when children came. Her income was smaller, simpler. It made sense for her to bend, and she never said no. Not once. She covered for him more times than she could count. Mistakes on the floor that would have cost him a reprimand. Sometimes worse, she quietly fixed them before anyone noticed. Rewrote a chart here. Smoothed over a complaint there. She never told a soul. Not even Marcus. She just did it. The way she'd learned to do everything in her life. Quietly, without asking for credit. And every Sunday, without fail, she set the table for his mother. Vivian arrived at 6 o'clock sharp. Always in something expensive. Always with a comment already loaded before she even sat down. "Nursing is sweet. Elena," she said once, stirring her tea slowly, watching Elena over the rim of the cup. "It's a lovely little job, but it isn't a career. Not like my son's." Elena said nothing. She poured the tea. "You know," Vivian continued another Sunday. "When Marcus was young, I always pictured him with someone who could stand beside him. At galas, at board dinners. Someone people would look at and think, yes, of course. That's the woman for a man like that." Elena poured the tea. I'm not saying you're not lovely, dear, Vivian added, the way people add cruelty right after pretending to take it back. I'm only saying some women are built for the spotlight, and some women are built to serve it tea. Elena poured the tea, and something small and quiet cracked inside her chest. The kind of crack no one else could hear. She never told Marcus what his mother said. She told herself it didn't matter. She told herself Sundays would end eventually, that Vivian would soften, that this was simply the price of loving a man whose mother had never learned to be kind to anyone who didn't need her. She was wrong on all three counts. It was around this time that Brianna started at the hospital. New nurse. Bright. Easy smile. The kind of woman who made people feel like the most interesting person in the room within 30 seconds of meeting her. She was good at her job. Elena would never deny that. Quick hands. Sharp instincts. Patients loved her. She was also, Elena noticed almost immediately, very good at being wherever Marcus was. It started small. Brianna laughing a little too long at something Marcus said in the break room. Brianna asking Elena, with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, what it was like being married to someone so important. Brianna mentioning, almost too casually, that she'd read all about Marcus's promotion online before she even applied for the job. I like to know who I'm working for, Brianna said once, stirring her coffee slowly, watching Elena the exact same way Vivian did, family included. Elena filed that sentence away without knowing why. It sat strangely in her, the way a wrong note sits in a song you can't quite place. Marcus's name started coming up more at breakfast. Then, at midnight, his phone lighting up the ceiling while he pretended to be asleep. Then in photographs, hospital fundraisers, staff parties where Brianna stood just a little too close, laughed just a little too easily, touched his arm just a little too long for it to be nothing. Elena saw all of it. She was not a fool. She had never been a fool. She simply made a choice. The same choice she had made her entire adult life, to keep her head down, to keep working, to keep pouring the tea and covering the mistakes and taking the night shifts nobody wanted. And in the back of her bedroom drawer, moved now to a new house, a bigger house, the kind of house Marcus's salary had built. The cream-colored envelope waited. She still hadn't opened it. Some nights, folding laundry, she would find it beneath old sweaters and hold it for a moment, feeling the shape of whatever was inside. A card, maybe a letter. She never shook it. She never held it to the light. You'll know the day, her father had said. She just didn't know yet how close that day was getting. The morning after Marcus tore the badge from her chest, Elena did not go looking for sympathy. She did not call her sister. She did not cry into a pillow until noon. She went to the drawer. The house was quiet. Marcus had left early some meeting, he said, though she no longer believed anything that came out of his mouth without checking it twice. Mia was at school, and Elena stood alone in the bedroom she used to share with a man who had once promised her he'd never let her bow her head to anyone. And she pulled out the cream-colored envelope for the first time in 2 years. Her hands did not shake. That surprised her. A little. She sat on the edge of the bed and opened it slowly. The way you open something you've waited a long time for and are almost afraid to finish. Inside was a single card, cream like the envelope. Her father's handwriting once more. Call Solomon. He kept it safe. It was always yours. Beneath the words, a phone number. Elena read it 3 times before she picked up her phone. She didn't know who Solomon was. She didn't know what it meant. But something in her chest, some old, quiet instinct she hadn't listened to in years, told her this was the moment her father had been waiting for her to reach. She dialed. It rang twice. Ms. Okoye, said the voice on the other end. Calm. Unhurried. Like he had been expecting this call for a very long time. I wondered when you'd finally call. Who is this? Solomon Reyes. I was your father's attorney, and I imagine, very soon, I'm going to be yours. A pause. Before we go any further, do not sign anything Marcus puts in front of you. Not one page. Come to my office in the morning. Solomon. Wait, what did my father leave me? Another pause. Longer this time. More than you think. He said finally, but not on the phone. Come tomorrow. I'll explain everything. The line went quiet. Elena sat there with the phone still against her ear long after the call had ended. One question turning over and over in her mind like a stone she couldn't put down. What did her father know that she didn't? Solomon's office was old wood. Low light. The kind of quiet that made you lower your own voice without meaning to. He set a thick folder on the desk between them, but didn't open it right away. Your father did not leave you money, he said. Elena's stomach dropped. She hadn't realized, until that moment, how much she'd let herself hope. Then what did he leave me? He left you a trust. Solomon tapped the folder twice. Money runs out. Ms. Okoye, a trust holds things. Buildings. Companies. Control. Control of what he almost smiled. Almost. We'll get there. I want to walk you through this the way I would evidence in a courtroom. One piece at a time. Not revenge. Just the truth. In order. He slid a single page across the desk. Just one. At the top. A name, Hargrove Health Holdings. Read that name. Solomon said, remember it. You're going to hear it again very soon. She stared at it. And something about it itched at the edge of her memory. Though she couldn't place why. Why does that sound familiar? In time, he said again. And something about the way he said it made her stomach tighten. She went home that night, and, for the first time in 10 years, she did something just for herself. She got a notebook, and she started writing everything down. Every strange number in the bank account. Every whispered phone call Marcus took in the garage with the door shut. Every small thing that had never quite added up. Filed away in the back of her mind because she'd been too tired. Too loyal. Too afraid to look at it directly. She made herself, quietly, a witness to her own life. The first thing that didn't add up was a bank alert 2 days later, a credit card she'd never opened. In her name. Already $12,000 in debt. She brought the statement straight to Solomon's office. He studied it for a long moment, his jaw tightening slightly. Someone opened this using your information, he said. Someone with access to your house, your documents, your signature. Why would Marcus put debt in my name? To make you look reckless. Solomon said simply, a reckless wife is easier to divorce. Easier to push out of things quietly. Without a fight, he slid the statement into the growing folder. Keep every piece of paper that comes in your name from now on. And don't confront him. Not yet. Elena nodded, though something cold moved through her at the thought. If he's already building a case against me, what does he think I have that's worth taking? She didn't have an answer yet. But the name on that single page, Hargrove Health Holdings, was about to answer the question for her, in a way she never could have imagined. The next piece of the puzzle came from someone Elena least expected. Yanama Vascarla, a records clerk who had worked in the basement archives of Ashford Memorial for almost 20 years quiet. Careful. The kind of woman nobody paid much attention to, which made her very good at noticing things. She found Elena in the hospital parking garage. 3 days after the badge. 3 days after the phone call with Solomon that had turned Elena's whole world sideways without yet showing her why. I heard what happened, Carla said quietly, glancing over her shoulder out of habit. What he did to you in the ICU. It wasn't right. Thank you. Carla, I'm managing. Carla hesitated, then reached into her bag and pulled out a folded printout. She pressed it into Elena's hands like it might burn her if she held it too long. I probably shouldn't be giving you this, but I think you need to see it before he does something you can't undo." Elena unfolded it in the dim light of the garage. It was an expansion contract, the hospital's new wing. The deal Marcus had been chasing for 2 years. The deal that was supposed to be his ladder, straight to chief executive officer. She'd heard him talk about it 100 times over dinner, always with that hungry look in his eyes. At the bottom of the page, one line was highlighted in yellow, subject to final approval by the majority owner, Hargrove Health Holdings. That name again. Elena stood there in the gray light of the parking garage, the paper trembling slightly in her hands. Though she couldn't have said whether it was her hands shaking or the paper itself, Marcus's entire future, his title, his legacy, the empire he'd built himself into over 10 years, needed the signature of a company she'd never heard of until 4 days ago. She just didn't know yet how much of that company might already belong to her. She called Solomon from her car, her voice tighter than she meant it to be. "The expansion deal needs Hargrove to sign off." "Solomon, do I own part of that company?" Silence. Long enough that she wondered if the call had dropped. "Come in tomorrow," he said finally. "There's more." But not on the phone. That night, Brianna made her first real move. She posted a photograph online, the hallway of Marcus's house. The same hallway where the wedding photos used to hang. The wall was bare now, freshly painted. The ghost outlines of picture frames, the only proof anything had ever been there at all. Her caption read, "Some spaces just feel lighter once the past is finally removed." By morning, half the hospital had seen it. Nurses whispered in the break room. Someone had screenshotted it and sent it around before 8:11 m. The story wrote itself without anyone needing to say a word out loud. Elena was the past. Brianna was what came next. Elena saw the photo too. She did not cry. She had promised herself, somewhere in that parking lot 4 nights ago, that she was done, handing her tears to people who didn't deserve to see them. Instead, she saved the image, opened her email, and sent it straight to Solomon with a single word typed beneath it. Evidence. The next morning, Solomon finally opened the folder all the way. "Your father founded this hospital," he said, and for the first time since Elena had met him, his voice carried something almost like reverence. "Before you were born, before your mother, he built Ashford Memorial from a single clinic with 4 beds, and he never once put his name on the building." Elena sat very still. "Why not?" "Because he wanted to know who would be kind," Solomon said, when they thought no one important was watching. He turned a page in the folder, sliding it toward her. "Hargrove Health Holdings owns this hospital. And you, Elena, you are the named successor, not a shareholder, not a minority partner. The successor. When the trust activates, you control all of it." The room went very still. "I own the hospital," Elena said slowly, like she was tasting the words for the first time, testing whether they were real. "The one he fired me from. You own the ground he's standing on." Solomon said, "He has no idea. And his expansion deal, the one he's been chasing for 2 years, cannot close without your signature." He paused, watching her carefully. "He's been forging documents, Elena, trying to reach around you without anyone noticing." "Forging?" Her voice went flat. "That's a crime. It's not a divorce anymore." Solomon said quietly, "It's a felony. But we wait. We let him walk right up to the edge, in front of everyone who matters, before we show him what's on the other side." Elena thought, in that moment, that she finally understood the whole truth. She was wrong. 2 days later, Brianna came to see her, not to fight, not to gloat. She showed up at Elena's door in the early evening, arms crossed. That same easy smile from the break room, now sharpened into something colder. "I know about Hargrove," Brianna said, cool as glass, before Elena had even opened the door fully. "I did my research long before Marcus ever thought to look." Elena kept her face still. "Then why are you telling me?" Because Marcus is going to lose, Brianna said simply, and when he does, I'd rather be standing next to the woman who wins than the man who doesn't. She stepped closer, lowering her voice like they were suddenly old friends, sharing a secret. Sign the deal over through me. I'll make sure your name stays clean through all of it. Refuse me, and I hand Marcus everything I know. We bury you together. Elena. Both of us. So it had never been love at all. Not for one single day. Elena looked at her for a long moment, really looked. The way she used to look at patients when she needed to see past what they were saying to what was actually wrong with them. No, she said. Just that. One word. Brianna's smile went thin, brittle at the edges. Then it's What Brianna didn't know, what she had no way of knowing, was that Elena's phone had been recording in her pocket from the moment she opened the door. Every word. Saved. Sent straight to Solomon before Brianna had even reached her car. That night, Marcus made his countermove. He filed for divorce fast, faster than Elena thought was even legally possible, and buried inside the paperwork was something that made her hands go cold the moment she read it. Full custody. Of Mia, 7 years old, still sleeping with the hallway light on, still asking her mother to check under the bed before bedtime. The papers called Elena unstable, reckless, a woman with secret debt and a public breakdown at her workplace, unfit to raise a child alone. The credit card, the torn badge, the bare wall in the hallway that had somehow, in Marcus's version of events, to become evidence of Elena's instability rather than his own betrayal. He had built the whole story brick by brick, months in advance. The way a man builds a case when he already knows he's going to need one. Elena read the custody filing at her kitchen table. Alone. The house silent around her. She did not scream. She did not throw anything. She picked up her phone, and when Solomon answered, her voice came out steadier than she felt. He's using our daughter, she said. He's using Mia to win. I know, Solomon said, and for the first time, something in his voice had shifted, not anger exactly, but a kind of quiet finality, like a door closing somewhere far away. And that is the mistake that ends him. What do you mean? There's a clause in your father's trust. Solomon said, I wasn't going to use it unless I had to. But not yet, not on the phone. Bring Mia somewhere safe. And then come to the gala. Bring everything. The gala. The foundation gala. Solomon said, every year. Below. The succession of Hargrove Health Holdings is read aloud in front of the full board. In front of the hospital, Marcus already RSVP'd himself. Elena. He's planning to celebrate his expansion deal there. A pause, almost gentle. Let him. The gala was gold light and long white tables. Every important face in the city gathered under one roof. Marcus stood near the front in a tailored suit, Brianna on his arm, his mother Vivian at his side like a queen presiding over a coronation. He had a speech prepared about the future of Ashford Memorial. He smiled like a man who already owned the room. He did not see Elena come in. She wore black. She wore calm. The kind of calm that had taken her 10 years to build without even realizing it. She carried a slim folder and nothing else. No security. No entourage. No announcement. The board chairman stepped up to the microphone for what everyone assumed was a formality. The same reading that happened every year. The kind people usually talk through while refilling their wine glasses. As required by the founding charter, the chairman began. We confirm the controlling successor of Hargrove Health Holdings, majority owner of Ashford Memorial Hospital. Marcus chuckled to someone beside him. Background noise. As far as he was concerned, the successor, the chairman said, is Elena Okoye. The room turned. Every head, every conversation, stopped at once. Marcus's smile didn't fall so much as simply disappear. like something had reached into his chest and switched it off. Elena walked to the front slowly. She took the microphone with a steady hand. "Good evening," she said. "Some of you watched my husband tear the badge off my chest last week. You watched him tell me, in front of this entire hospital, that I didn't belong here." She let the silence sit for a moment before continuing. "It was never his hospital. My father built it. My father left it to me. Every wall Marcus stood so tall against I own." Vivian's face went gray. Marcus took a step forward. "You can't," his voice cracked. "You can't do this." "I can," Elena said. "And the expansion deal you sold your marriage for it cannot close without my signature." She looked at him. Steady. Unflinching. "I will not be signing it." The ballroom erupted into stunned whispers. That was only the first wave. Solomon stepped up to the microphone next, opening the folder slowly, deliberately, the way a man opens something he's been waiting years to reveal. "There's more," he said. "The expansion contracts Mr. Marcus submitted to this board carry a signature from Hargrove's successor, authorizing the deal." He paused. "That successor never signed them. These documents are forged. This is no longer a family matter. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a felony." For one full second, the entire ballroom forgot how to breathe. Chairs scraped softly against the polished floor as board members rose to their feet. On a buwan, staring at Marcus like they were seeing him clearly for the very first time. Doctors exchanged stunned glances. Nurses who had watched him rip Elena's badge off her chest days earlier lowered their eyes in something close to shame and then lifted them again, this time toward Elena, with a newfound, quiet respect. No one moved to defend him. Then, near the back of the ballroom, an elderly nurse slowly began to clap. Once, twice, another nurse joined her, then another. Within seconds, the applause spread table to table until nearly the entire room was on its feet. The woman they had watched walk out in humiliation was now standing exactly where she had always belonged. Elena didn't smile. She didn't bow. She simply stood there with the same quiet dignity she had carried through every night shift. Every insult. Every year of silence. Two men near the back rose calmly. Investigators. Everyone would later learn. Invited long before the gala had even begun. Marcus spun toward Brianna. "Say something. Tell them the truth." Brianna stepped back from him. Right there under the gold light. In front of everyone. "I won't go down with you," she said, and turned to face the board instead. "He asked me to help hide it. I have the messages. I'll hand over everything." She had chosen the winning side, exactly as she'd promised she would. Hospital security walked forward, calm and unhurried. "Mr. Marcus," one of them said, "by order of the board, your executive access has been suspended. Effective immediately." He laughed once, disbelieving. "You can't be serious." Neither man answered. One simply held out his hand. "Your badge." "Sir." His fingers hesitated over the same badge he had once torn from his wife's chest without a second thought. Slowly, he unclipped it, somewhere near the stage. A member of IT tapped a tablet. Marcus's phone buzzed in his pocket. Executive access revoked. Building access disabled. Company email deactivated. His face drained of all color. He turned one last time toward the custody papers folded in his jacket pocket. His final card, the one he'd been saving. "She's unfit," he shouted. "It's on record." Solomon almost pitied him. "There's a clause in the trust. Your wife never had a chance to read because her father wrote it for exactly this moment. Any successor attacked through their own child forfeits nothing. But the attacker forfeits everything held jointly." He closed the folder. "You didn't just lose the deal tonight, Marcus. By filing those custody papers, you signed away every asset your marriage ever shared. Marcus sat down hard, as if his legs had simply stopped answering him. Elena did not gloat. She looked at the man she had once promised her. Father would never make her bow her head, and felt something quieter than anger settle in her chest. "You showed me who you were," she said softly, just like he said you would. She left the gala on her own 2 feet, the same way she'd left the ICU, only this time, the whole room stood. Monday morning. Ashford Memorial felt strangely quiet. Word had already spread through every floor before the sun was fully up. Every doctor knew. Every nurse knew. Even the volunteers at the front desk whispered her name like it was something sacred. At 8:03, the automatic glass doors slid open. Elena stepped inside, not in scrubs this time, but in a simple navy suit, carrying nothing but a slim leather folder under one arm. No security, no entourage, no speech prepared. For one long second, the entire lobby seemed to forget how to move. Then, an elderly nurse near the reception desk, the same woman who had stood frozen the day Marcus tore the badge from Elena's chest, slowly took off her glasses and began to clap. Once, twice. Another nurse joined her, then a doctor near the coffee station. Within seconds, the applause rolled across the entire lobby like a wave that had been building for 10 years and was finally allowed to break. Receptionists stood. Orderlies smiled. Patients waiting for appointments looked up, confused, and then joined in anyway. Because some things you don't need an explanation to understand. One young nurse, wiping her eyes, whispered just loud enough for Elena to hear, "Welcome home." "Ma'am." Elena stopped. She looked around at the people she had worked beside for a decade, the ones who had trained under her, cried with her, covered shifts with her when nobody else would. She smiled. "Gently, let's take care of our patients," she said. That was all. And somehow, it was everything. Vivian came to her a few days later. No pride left in her posture. No sharp comment loaded behind her tea. Just an old woman with trembling hands, saying, "I was wrong. I judged you by your title, not your heart." Elena didn't need an apology to feel peace, but she accepted it anyway, quietly. The same way she'd accepted everything else in her life, without bitterness, without needing to win, because Elena hadn't just kept the hospital. She rebuilt what mattered. The wing Marcus once wanted to sell became a free community clinic in her father's name, open doors. Night hours. Nurses finally paid what they were worth. In the lobby, she hung one photograph, her father, thin and gray, smiling from his wheelchair. Beneath it, a small brass plate he watched to see who would be kind. Mia grew up in those halls, learning the one lesson her mother never had to teach out loud, that the strongest thing a person can carry isn't a title, or a badge, or a name on a door. It's a quiet envelope, held for years, opened only when it's finally time. If this story moved you, if you believe kindness always finds its way back, hit subscribe right now. Because Whispered Tales has hundreds more stories just like this one waiting for you. Drop a comment below, would you have forgiven Vivian the way Elena did? Let me know. And if this story touched your heart even a little, give it a like. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And I'll see you in the next story.